Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the princess half-demon and got harem? Part 2. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. This is weird, muttered the red-eyed blonde who was looking back at the closed portal before all around himself. The rainbow lights all around them as they floated in the air, with Naruto's hand making way into his jacket to touch the envelope his mother handed to him, for him to read. Man, it feels like I'm flying, Moroha said with a big smile, appearing to float around the annoyed Setsuna before she looked back at Tawa and Naruto, seeing the blonde moving his gaze fast from something, and this caused Moroha to display a devilish smile as she moved her gaze to where it had just been for a split second. Moroha, are you sure it was wise making a deal with Roothead? Yeah, it'll be fine. She displays a big grin. If it comes down to it, I have no problem killing him. Despite saying that, Naruto didn't feel too confident. Should we be talking about this when there's a potential chance it's overhearing us, and could leave us here by closing the other end? This caused both girls to go wide-eyed as Moroha abruptly shuts her mouth before realizing something. Wait, Setsuna, did you just call me by my name? That question caused her mouth to open, yet no words came out of it as she too realized it. A silent sigh was let out of her mouth. Is that a problem? Nope, not at all. I kind of like it. It was after saying this, Tawa moved ahead in front of Naruto to join the others. Yes, there is a problem. You lied to him, and you should be ashamed. It wasn't a lie. It was a means to an end. At that moment they were blinded by a bright light before their eyes, with Naruto squinting yet felt a pulse in his chest, wondering if it was his heart that stopped beating or something else. We've arrived, was Soenga's words that were the last thing he heard as they entered the light and once again appeared in the physical realm, more so surrounded by roots on all sides, as if they were inside a hollow tree. It took a minute for them to collect what they lost and start moving as a group. Are we in the feudal era? I think we're underground. Something is off. It could be that. Stay alert. As the girls had a back and forth, Naruto just stayed silent while he felt odd, like a sort of cap had been loosened. The blonde looks at his left hand, wondering what he felt as he made a fist. Up ahead. That snapped him out of it as they arrived in a clearing, more precisely a glowing orb of light within a wooden cage. It was then that something formed from it, taking the shape of a woman, more precisely a shrine maiden, and the moment the blonde laid his eyes on her, his eyes had widened. Beautiful, was his silent thought, mesmerized by her beauty. I've been expecting you, half-demon princesses. She stops, her gaze fixating on Naruto, and tilts her head in confusion, not knowing who he is, yet her gaze narrows upon seeing Soenga at his side. Meanwhile the three girls prepared themselves. What do you mean? Demands a suspicious Setsuna. Are you referring to us? This isn't Roothead? Her question was directed towards Moroha, who shook her head. Don't think so. I don't sense any demon energy. With this, Naruto spoke up. Mind telling us who you are? Unlike the others, he didn't look to be gearing for a fight but stood in the same spot, calmly. I am the Tree of Ages. With that introduction, they lowered their weapons, with Moroha questioning her appearance. This is only a borrowed appearance. The form you see before you were created from the spirit of the arrowhead when the arrow of sealing was embedded into my trunk. I believe the name of the priestess was Kikyo. Upon hearing that name, Naruto grabbed his chest as he felt the pulse again, the name of the priestess giving him nostalgia. Kikyo, are you the one who summoned us to this place? Both Setsuna and Moroha said, yet the spirit merely paid attention to the important information rather than filling them on who Kikyo was. Yes, I am. I have a request for the daughters of Sesshomaru. Now listen. This didn't go unnoticed by Naruto, who realized he was left out. Hey, wait for a second. Moroha points at the apparition. Sorry to break it to you, but I'm not Sesshomaru's daughter. Yet her complaints were met with a reply. Save your complaints until I am done speaking, Moroha. This got her to shut up and become dumbfounded at her name is known to the tree. Wait, how did the tree know my name? Maybe the other trees told her? Naruto's reply seemed to cause her to go wide-eyed and become freaked out, which the Tree of Ages appeared to sigh despite it being physically unable to. Alright then, tell us your request. Tawa finally spoke again, calmer now like Setsuna, yet both still untrustworthy. There is a demon I would like you to slay. That simple mission got a smile from Moroha. You got it. Roothead, right? Yet her words met denial, along with her tone becoming more serious. Roothead is of no consequence. The one I want slain is the Beast King, Kirinmaru. The name didn't register to the fore, which the spirit proceeded to explain. He's attempting to twist time, not realizing his actions will cause a calamity to befall this world. Kirinmaru is a king who, alongside the great dog demon, had a long reign over the demon beasts. Kirinmaru ruled in the east. Meanwhile, the one who held power in the west was your grandfather, the great dog demon. Her words surprised them just as Soanga shook, gaining Naruto's attention. This is what happens when love gets involved. Toga met his untimely end for his stupidity. Despite not knowing the man, the three girls showed slight annoyance at the sword. The great dog, what's it? Moroha picks her ear. Heard that name but don't care. In strength, the two warriors ruled their lands while keeping watch over the other to maintain the balance of power. However, your father Sesshomaru renounced his birthright to the great dog demon title. As she explained, Naruto's eyes widened a little, and turns his head towards a direction, sensing something for a second but saw nothing among the many rocks. What was that? It felt like. Naruto stood as he wondered exactly what he felt, not able to comprehend the feeling of dread as something wanted to kill him but stops. With that, Kirinmaru plots to plunge this world into devastation. The power to travel across time would be a necessary ability to stop him. An understanding was what they came to on the plan. So that's where we come in? Tao's question earned agreement. Correct, like ones with deep ties to the great dog demon, you three are the world's best hope to slaying Kirinmaru. So half-demon princesses, will you accept? Immediately Moroha smiles and agreed, wanting money and fame for his death. What about you, daughters of Sesshomaru? Her question was met with a brick wall as Setsuna's gaze hardens. I refuse. The immediate surprise was met by everyone. You will not take the task? I will not. She stomps her weapon on the ground. I deny your request. This seemed to intrigue the tree, who proceeded to ask why she would do such a thing. First off, I do not know this Sesshomaru who you claim is my father. If all this is due to his failure, I see no reason for us to atone for it. If Kirinmaru must die, then Sesshomaru should be the one who deals with him. Tree of Ages, you are hiding something about this whole situation you speak of. This seemed to cause it to smile. I was right to place confidence in you. Her words surprised the four of them. Sesshomaru cannot defeat Kirinmaru. That is because he is dealing with another threat far more dangerous than the Beast King himself. This confused them on what was more dangerous than the one she's been hyping up. What's more dangerous than Kirinmaru that Sesshomaru had to deal with? Naruto's question was met with the spirit's gaze. Not much is known about this individual, but he made an appearance 5 years after the Shirkan jewel was erased, and with it came the rise of what is known as cursed spirits, different than demons. This caused Naruto's eyes to widen as he looks at Moroha, realizing that time she mentioned it, he thought she was referring to demons. All we know is the name he goes by, Kenjaku. After saying that, her gaze meets Naruto's. And you can guess what the punishment is for disobeying the Tree of Ages. This caused Naruto's eyes to widen. You're not gonna let us return to our time, aren't you? This question had shocked the other three, more so Tao, which they all saw the spirit smile. Indeed, I am the one who can freely control Rudehead. I can keep him asleep for however long I want, which in turn eliminates your only chance of going back and forth like one has done before. So I ask again, will you slay him or not? This seemed to anger the three before Naruto spoke up. Fine. His answer surprised the three. We'll do it, but if you go back on your word, I'll chop you down and turn you into firewood. His threat seems to cause the spirit's eyes to widen at the cruel threat. Meanwhile, Moroha laughs. I better get some reward. She turns her back to the tree. Let's get going already. Yet, even so, Tao was reluctant to listen to the tree, with Setsuna being more, yet the two had to listen if their only way back was held hostage. That is good to hear. Fate is a continuous cycle. We'll meet again. In that instant, the three had become blinded by the light the spirit had released, confusing them all, but as it did so, the spirit's gaze was on Naruto. Seeing deep in his soul was deep malice, one she hasn't felt in over a decade. Before the four found themselves dragged into a light, being thrown outside the tree as they land on their feet, with Moroha being crushed under her large bag. The three going wide-eyed as they stare at her. You alive? Naruto asks the pinned girl, who looks up, annoyed, unlike Setsuna, who smiles at retrieving her violin case. This is the feudal era. Tao was just looking around. Huh. With that said, Setsuna's name was suddenly called, which gained their attention, while Naruto lifted the bag off of Moroha so she could stand, giving him thanks as they were approached by three, a young man, an older one, and an elderly lady. "You're back. I'm glad you're safe." These words were met with a response from the girl who faces them. "I am, and I finally managed to return." Her words were a smile from the man, yet the elder just looks at the tree confusingly. "What happened to Root-head?" Her question was met with the smiling Moroha. "Oh, he was put to sleep by the Tree of Ages, can't go killing him." This seemed to shock her. "Wait, what? Is that true?" As she asked that, Tawa looks back at the tree, thinking of her family she would need to return to. "Why am I carrying this?" asked the red-eyed blonde to the shorter gal who smiles. "Because you can lift it no problem," she said, both walking side by side towards a house that has the elderly lady standing outside, the one known as Keed, which they stop in front of her with the bag being placed before her. "Hey Granny, watch my stuff, Kay?" She seemed more interested in what was actually inside it, but in the end, paid it no mind and agreed. "Where are you going?" Her question was met with her cheerful smile. "I'm off to sell my bounties to the corpse dealer. See ya, I'll be back." With that said, she begins to run off from the two, which the elder smiles. Goodness gracious, she's just like Kagome. The name got his attention. Always on the move. After saying that, Naruto looks in the direction Tawa and Setsuna had gone towards. "How far is the Demon Slayer camp?" "A couple of miles in that." Keed stops to see the blonde crouch. "I'll see you later." That was all he said before he takes off running, surprising himself at his speed, and Keed as well not relaxing. He was testing his stamina and speed. It was at this moment she had noticed something was on the ground. Approaching it, she picked it up to see it was an envelope. He must have dropped this. She holds onto the envelope while looking in the direction he disappeared from. Currently located at a small house in a clearing were demon slayers, a clan that specializes in killing demons. They were overlooking what was in there, placing it outside while their leader, Kahaku, was overlooking books. "So were you able to find anything?" Tawa's question came upon seeing him stop on a certain page. "You said it was the dream butterfly?" He closes the book. "It doesn't show up in any books?" Setsuna placed a hand on her chin. Moroha said it was a cursed spirit. This caused his eyes to widen before they closed with a sigh. "Unfortunately, that saves us time. We know little about these cursed spirits even after they've been with us for years. Their numbers are slowly increasing, but not enough to make it an issue, except for a single one, but so far we grade them." This seemed to confuse Tawa, yet didn't notice Setsuna's expression turn a little dark. "Grade? Grade is what we are now using to power scale the level of cursed spirits. They're easier to differentiate from demons because they can only be seen by those with demonic energy. They haven't been much of an issue with Ki sensing and Setsuna to see them." It was then that the group heard footsteps and looked to see Naruto running towards them, slowly coming to a stop. "Weren't you with Moroha?" Setsuna asked, finding it to be a surprise he's arrived. "Yeah, I decided to come over here and see how fast I could run and how long." Naruto shows a smile. "Seems my stamina increased as well." As they heard that, Kahaku's eyes widened. "Wait," he stood up with a surprised look. "You ran all the way here?" "It's about 2 miles away from Keed." This caused Naruto to look up in wonder while the man looks at Tawa and Setsuna for answers, yet one laughs awkwardly while the other avoids his gaze altogether. "Though I am a little sweaty." This comment caused Setsuna to jolt as her mind goes back to the other world, yet pushes those thoughts away. "Anyways, Chief." She makes eye contact with the man. "Are there any slaying jobs that need to be done?" That surprised Tawa while the man answers. "Yeah, there is, now that you mention it. I was going to ask Hijiri, but if you're offering." Immediately Tawa cut in with a look of annoyance. "What about the butterfly?" Her answer came fast, with Setsuna looking at her with annoyance. "You know I have my path to walk. If you want to hunt for bugs, then do it with Naruto." This caused his eyes to widen, with Tawa looking annoyed at her sister. "You weren't kidding," muttered the blonde, who was kneeling to the boneless bags of skin of 3 men next to Hijiri and Kahaku. "Looks like all their bones were taken, leaving behind this." Kahaku bends down, taking an arm in his hand while a few villagers watched from their houses or next to them. "You're right, their bones were taken from them." His words got input from Setsuna, who believed it was an apparition, while the villagers discussed the body count. "It must that demon. I heard it takes the form of a beautiful young boy." With that being said, Kahaku stood up with a smile returning to his face while being asked for help. "Yes, we'll handle it." It was after saying that, Hijiri cuts in. "Uncle, why won't you let me take care of it?" That question gained the attention of the man. "Never told you this, but it involves your Hiraikatsu. Your mother went up against a bone-eating demon that ended up almost devouring her weapon." This surprised him while Setsuna was already asking her questions. You said this demon was appearing by the river at night? Her question gained a nod from the elder. Fine, I'll slay it. Setsuna declares with once again clear determination, which causes Tawa to smile. Let's do our best, Setsuna. This caused the younger sister to become annoyed, unlike Kahaku, who smiles. So you'd be willing to help complete this mission? Immediately she smiles brightly, fists bumping into her chest. Oh yeah, of course I will be. What about you, Naruto? Her question earned a nod, much to the man's joy. I didn't expect you to get along so quickly. It's hard to believe your lord Sesshomaru's daughters. Unlike how Tawa felt, Setsuna wasn't having any of that. We're strangers. Her words instantly got an offended Tawa on her back. Why are you being so cold? Kahaku starts to sweat. I'm only trying to help you. Her nagging got the better of the younger sister, who turns towards the older sibling. Shut up and leave me alone. Naruto just stood in silence, not knowing what to say as Kahaku cut in between the bickering sisters. Settle down. If you run into any trouble, just let us know right away. Which is why I'll be sending Kilala with you. It was after seeing that, a two-tailed miniature animal jumps atop the now smiling Setsuna's shoulder. You guys sure you'll be okay? Hijui's question gained a response from the half-demon princess that was patting the beast. Kilala will be with me, and her older sister will protect her, too. Setsuna showed an annoyed expression, giving Naruto a look that told him to get a hold of his friend before she lets the cat demon down. Ready, Kilala? With a burst-off mix, it became a large beast that shocks Naruto and Tawa, who watched Setsuna get on, her gaze turning to them. Get on or I'm leaving you. Immediately Tawa got on behind Setsuna, followed by Naruto, yet before he could do so, Kilala's eyes widen as it sniffs the air once more as its teeth bare towards Naruto, growling much to the shock of everyone. Kilala, what's… Setsuna was cut off as her companion suddenly launched itself towards the wide-eyed Naruto. Block or dodge. Young's voice was heard as Naruto ducked and rolled to the side, missing the beast that landed on all fours as it turns its body towards the young man, visibly appearing to be infuriated. Setsuna, why is she attacking Naruto? Her demand couldn't get a reply as Setsuna tried snapping her out of it, yet she didn't listen as the Nikomata charges for Naruto, only to be stopped by Kahaku getting in front of her, visibly confusing the beast. Easy girl, easy. He lifted his arms, trying to calm her down, which she does just that, still looking confused before at the wide-eyed Naruto. With this, they shook her head, appearing to look apologetic towards him. I'm not sure what has you so riled up, but he is not a threat. Kahaku looked back at Naruto for answers, yet he looks away, figuring it was the fact he was a corpse. The man just looks at Setsuna and Tawa for answers. The youngest sighs while the other looks away. I see. Kahaku lets out a sigh. I expect you to fill me in later about this, Setsuna. This gained a nod from Setsuna before he turns his attention back to Kilala. Will there be any other problems? His question gained a shake as the Nikomata approaches Naruto, who took a step back as it circled him, sniffing him a few times before it nudged into him, which he slowly pats her head. Okay, you're good to get on. With a nod from Kahaku, Naruto did just that as he got on behind Tawa's, his arms wrapping around her waist, yet still unsure. Okay. Immediately before Tawa could say another word, they took off straight up, with Tawa losing her hold but realized she was not falling off, taking into account Naruto's arms had pulled her closer into himself, which in turn resulted in him looking anywhere else, which Tawa also started to feel awkward. Setsuna meanwhile saw the whole thing and just looks ahead with a sigh at finding this to be annoying to deal with. While this was happening, Kahaku watched from the ground with his eyes narrowing as they were locked on Naruto. Kilala has never once acted like that to someone she's just met, unless… Kahaku began to feel dreads. The person smells like someone she recognizes and despises. With his thoughts, his eyes merely narrow. A yawn could be heard in the dead of night at a bridge. Sitting on one end of it were Naruto, Tawa, and Setsuna waiting quietly for the arrival of the demon, while one of them was tired with the moon high up in the air. You sound bored? Asked the younger sister, which stops Tawa from yawning again. No way, she immediately said with a wave of her arms. Not at all, just sleepy. This seemed to annoy Setsuna while Naruto sat and listened. Oh, I guess what I meant to say, Setsuna starts to get more annoyed. I'm sorry. Immediately she got a response from Setsuna, who tells her to stop with the apologies as it was annoying, putting her down even more, with Naruto just remaining silent. Anyway, I think it's the darkest night I've ever seen. There are so many. she was silenced by Setsuna's hand while Naruto grabs Sounga's handle. The three leaning to get a look at a wagon of bones being pulled, a skeleton beast led by a white-cloaked individual who stops upon meeting a pack of hungry wolves that had run by the group towards the individual, and brutally he uses his fan to rip the bones out of them. Okay, that's messed up. This was the first thing Naruto said as he went into action by getting out of his hiding spot, followed by Setsuna and Tawa. Their appearance has surprised the individual who watched Setsuna make her move, Scourge of Swallows. With a single swing of her blade, she sends the demonic energy birds at the guy who vanished after his cloak was hit, while the wagon collapses along with the skeleton beast. What the hell? Muttered the blonde, who didn't understand what happened at that moment, while Setsuna moved forward to pick up the cloak. So did you get him? No, looks like he escaped. The two girls' eyes were occupied with one thing while Naruto looked around. Oh good, I mean it would be terrible if we killed such a cute kid, you know. She stops to see both looking at her like she was crazy. Tawa, his wagon was filled with skeletons of people. Not to mention he just killed a pack of wolves without even the slightest hesitation. Their words caused her eyes to widen before she looks down at her feet, rubbing the back of her head at realizing how stupid she sounds. Oh yeah, so she stops upon noticing something, and the two follow her gaze to see red bones on the bridge, making a path. His nest must be at the end of this. We should hurry before he has time to prepare, Setsuna said as the three quickly moved with her leading the way, running fast towards their destination. The timing, thought the blonde, a little in disbelief that Moroha was also at the place they headed to as they all stood outside a palace. What the hell is that? Moroha demands from the flashlight pointing at her, not understanding the technology until it points away, allowing her to see the surprised Naruto, Tawa, and annoyed Setsuna. This sight merely excites her as she approaches them. Oh hey guys, I didn't expect to find you here. Her eyes narrow. You better not be trying to take my bounty again. Yet the three gave not a single shit for that. Guessing we have the same target? Moroha looks away in annoyance. No way I'm sharing the bounty. She looked like the type to not share before they heard something from Moroha, and upon her shoulder was a jumping insect. Ahem. He starts moving a lot, looking at the girl at the same time Naruto had felt his sword shake. Lady Moroha, as one of the four perils, Tokatsu's head is worth far more than a bag of gold. He's worth at least a good ingot. This got an eyebrow raise from Naruto, who heard that, and in turn the fleet gaining a SHHH from Moroha. The real problem is the other four perils. It's a certainty they won't be silent for long. That line had caused his eyes to narrow, with Setsuna also being suspicious before they all start walking around the inside. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Myoga, and I've had the honor of serving the Great Dog Demon and his family for 3 generations. This surprised Naruto, yet he understood now. Looking at the weapon, due to the last time it shook was when the Tree of Ages talked about the Great Dog Demon. And I must say, Lady Moroha's blood is the closest to the Great Dog Demon's by far. Naruto placed a hand on the weapon hilt, for it was acting up again, appearing to hate the mention of the demon. Why, it's even more delicious than Master Inuyasha's. At this point, Moroha has had enough of it. Could you pipe down already? I need you to tell me about the 4 perils. This got the 3 to stop when they heard that, turning to look at Myoga. The 4 perils was demons that cross over from the mainland during the spring-autumn period. Kanton, Totetsu, Kyuki, and Tokatsu. These 4 beasts made up the roster. The one who ruled over them was Kirinmaru, a beast king similar in power to the Great Dog Demon. This got Tawa and Naruto's eyes to widen, while Setsuna's narrow at finding this not to be good. Yes, that's right. Why do you ask? Have you heard of them before? The girls look serious at the flea. We were told that Kirinmaru is attempting to distort time and swallow this world in a degenerate age. That seemed to confuse the small demon. That's ridiculous. Kirinmaru is a valiant beast king who would never do such a thing. This confused the 3 even more on why they were given such a task and what the tree was hiding, while Moroha contemplated the twist of Tokatsu working under Kirinmaru. Now what? Moroha smiles at the 3, annoying Setsuna, who understood what she meant. Are you insinuating we help you? Her words met the big grin of Moroha. Don't forget, we gotta do this. Plus, I'll help you find that dream butterfly of yours, the Naruto's lil prob. This causes Setsuna to frown at her words, turning away yet not saying no. You must be super strong, Moroha, taking out one of the 4 perils. Tawa's words were met with a sheepish laugh from the girl. Thing is, I didn't slay Tokatsu, hihe. This seemed to confuse the 3 that weren't laughing. Mind elaborating? The blonde's words caused her to look away before putting on a more uncomfortable expression. I originally stumbled upon the scene where I found him. He was already headless. Not to mention it looked like he was caught in a storm. This time, Setsuna's gaze narrows. Why would you say that? Her question caused her to place a hand on her chin. All around him were burned trees. Looked like lightning strikes were happening everywhere, including his body burned to a crisp. Oddly enough, the red pearl was left, so I took it along with the body, though that got his subordinates that were searching for him to see me and speculate I killed him. Knew nothing about him till I took the body to the corpse dealer Jiyubei, who filled me in. Ihihei was pretty lucky. They just stare at her for the luck she had, yet Setsuna appeared to be very unsettled. All of it was dumb luck, one way to put it. Yet this didn't stop the unsettling look on Setsuna's face that Tawa could see, worrying for her sister. If you didn't kill Tokatsu, then something must have, and didn't seem interested in the pearl. This news didn't exactly worry them enough before Setsuna started to continue down the hallway. We slay the 4 perils, then Kirinmaru will appear. As she finished, the others followed after her down the hall to a closed door. So what'll it be? Kirinmaru's underling worth quite a lot. She turns her attention to them. Come on, I say we split the bounty 4 ways, sound good? We're pretty much buddies at this point. So let's keep on helping each other out. Without another word, she begins to open the sliding doors to find a teenager in front of them, kneeling on a mat. He bows slowly before them, which puts the 4 in guard. Hello, ladies and sir, I humbly bid you welcome. My father, Tokatsu, will be delighted to see you. This gained a warning from Moroha, but they correct her, for she is the mistaken target of Tokatsu's wrath. Why don't we explain to them that the whole situation is, she was cut off by Naruto looking at her. Tawa, they've been killing bandits and villagers alike. We just watched his son add wolves to his large wagon of bones. This caused Tawa to become surprised, with Moroha nodding and Setsuna looking at Tawa in annoyance. Unlike her, Naruto has already tasted death for her safety, and he straight up called it. She turns her back to Tawa again. We can't just walk away, and besides, if a bounty hunter returns her bounty, then she's not a bounty hunter anymore. Moroha proceeds to enter, followed by Naruto, Setsuna, then finally Tawa, who thought about what she said while the son looks up at the girl. If you want to avenge your dad, Moroha draws her blade. Then I'm happy to send you to him. A chuckle was heard from the demon before the walls came down, alerting the group as Moroha jumps back to dodge the wave of red skeletons, courtesy of a large skeletal red beast who had the bones from soldiers all around with swords in hand. No need, for I am right here, Tokatsu declares loudly before the small group. Not only did you steal my treasured red pearl, but also for cowardly striking me with my back was turned. I will not forgive you for your transgressions. This just annoyed the red-cloaked girl. Stop it, will ya? You're being harsh. You make it sound like I'm the bad guy. There was an awkward silence from everyone, bother the demons and her friends, which she just looks at her to see them avoiding eye contact besides Setsuna. You stole and sold his corpse. She did what? Setsuna's added comment both offended Moroha and angered Tokatsu upon finding that out, which the girl just sighs before the monster opens his mouth to unleash a roar, which the girl once again smiles. You're slipping, Tokatsu. You can't be a member of the 4 perils with just your skill. She points her blade right at the demon, much to the anger of Jaketsumaru. Enough with the talk. He shouts with the skeletons charging at the 4 as they draw their weapons. Crimson Dragon Wave. Moroha was the first to attack as the sword unleashed a crimson wave of energy that blew through a couple of skeletons to hit Tokatsu, gaining pain much to the horror of Jaketsumaru. I expect nothing less from my companion. Cyclone Burst. Setsuna proceeded to spin her weapon to unleash a cyclone of wind that sent bones of the warriors and the ones around Tokatsu flying or being destroyed. This sight had shocked Tawa, who got serious and charged, striking into the skeleton soldiers with ease as they fell to pieces with one strike. Setsuna, Moroha, I'll fight too. She looks back at Naruto while she spoke. Naruto, cover my. She stops in shock at what she was seeing, along with Moroha and Setsuna, who saw it. Impossible. Jaketsumaru mutters at the sight of the soldiers now backing away from Naruto, who was confused, his sword drawn at his side. What are you fools doing? Attack! Yet his order fell to deaf ears as the skeletons took steps back from Naruto. The hell? He stops to lift the sword and stares at it. I'm guessing this is your doing? These piles of worthless remains know not to strike at me or my vessel. If they won't do anything, then I'll do it myself. Jaketsumaru shouted as he leaps for Naruto, who grips his sword until it happened, something no one expected as the skeletons suddenly stabbed upward into Jacketsumura's body, much to his shock as the blades dig into his body, causing him to fall with a roll. What? Jacketsumura stands up shakily, bleeding from his wounds as the skeletons start to ignore the girls to approach the son of Tokatsu. What the? Setsuna stops and looks at Naruto, more precisely his sword that glowed the orb handle. Father! Jacketsumura calls out, his father glaring at the skeletons that surrounded his son. Have you gone mad? He is not the target. Tokatsu roars, trying to regain dominance over them as his aura washes over them yet was blown away by a red light, courtesy of Soanga, much to everyone's shock. But you're but a fool. As the voice rang out, the skeletons charge, and despite taking out a few it didn't matter as he was overrun and brutally stabbed repeatedly. Even when he hits the ground the screaming didn't end as he was stabbed non-stop with only able to stick a hand out to his father. This very scene disturbed Tawa, who watched the kid being executed by their soldiers, and before she could do anything, Setsuna stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. Why are you stopping me? Can't you see this is wrong? Yet her sister's gaze hardens. Have you forgotten they are our enemy who aim to kill us with those Sake exact soldiers? Setsuna looks back, seeing the enraged Tokatsu charging. Jacketsumura! He roared as he sends the skeletons flying to get to his son, who was just laying on the ground, unresponsive as his body disintegrated. Damn, that's brutal, Moroha mutters before she felt movement on her shoulder and looks at the confused Myoga. But how? Only. Myoga froze, his eyes slowly widening in disbelief upon looking at Naruto's sword, more specifically the hand orb, which brought back a memory of a weapon his master had before he sealed it away. That's... Myoga was now shaking, surprising Moroha. Sir, release the sword at once. He shouted urgently at Naruto, gaining his attention with Tawa and Setsuna doing the same where they stood, ready to fight the grieving Tokatsu. You have no idea what you wield, that is Soanga. His warning provided Naruto with the proof he needed on the origins of the sword, so it did belong to the great dog demon. His words surprised all three girls, with the flea nodding, only for a short time until it was sealed away. It is the sword of hell, the sword of world conquest, also known as the sword of calamity. It's an evil blade, forged from that of an evil dragon from the underworld once known as... Myoga went silent upon the jewel glowing brightly. Silence, you insignificant flea. Its words bad stopped the small demon. Continuing to speak of my past will result in your death. This unnerved him as he hid behind Moroha. Hurry, seal it away, for it is a danger to everyone. Despite hearing that, Naruto just frowns and grips the blade. I know it is powerful, but it will eventually. Enough! Moroha shouted, had caught the flea off guard. No can do, I'll fill you in later, but for now he can't just separate from it. Her words had surprised the flea on why he couldn't. Now! She takes out a rouge to open up. Guys, I'll be out for a day after this. The sudden warning made no sense as the three watched her place the cosmetic on her lips while Tokatsu finally ended his grieving to rage. Now, with it applied, her eyes become golden while gaining lavender markings on the outer corners, and her body emits a thick red aura. I become Inuyasha, the destroyer of lands. Tremble before the bloodthirsty dawn, bear witness to your end if you so dare. Her words enraged Tokatsu, who turns their attention from Naruto to her while Myoga was giving a small explanation before feeding on her blood. At this time the skeletons start to disintegrate the bones left behind from her aura. I'll kill you, then the others. He charges for Moroha, who moves fast, dodging a couple of strikes swiftly before jumping high into the air, above Tokatsu due to the sword strikes not being enough. Iron Reaver Soul Stealer. The name caused Naruto's eyes to widen as he watched her slash into Tokatsu's back, gaining a roar of pain before it turns to slam into Moroha, sending her into a wall that she slides against. Looking up to see it was now charging at her. Moroha immediately wipes at her arm that was bleeding, blades of blood. Once more she slashed her claws in the air, sending a barrage of red energy waves at Tokatsu, who roars in pain before being engulfed by flames that had collapsed. Odd, muttered the blonde, who joins the side of the other two girls. Something wrong? Tawa asked her childhood friend, who scratched the back of his head. Not sure, just feel. Deja vu? This seemed to confuse them, yet Setsuna sighs, the two turning to follow her gaze on the now sleeping Moroha. A minute must have been her limit, instant noodles taking longer than that, Tawa added, with Setsuna not getting the reference until they heard the voice. Curse you! This shout caused them to look up to see it was getting back up, which in turn caused Setsuna to smile, preparing to strike until Naruto jolts, sensing something, and it wasn't just him. Tokatsu did the same. Naruto, what? Tawa was cut off at the sudden sight of Setsuna's hair standing up, and it was at that moment the girl's eyes also widened, in the realization. Leave, now! Soonga's warning caught them off guard as they watched Naruto sheath the sword as he runs to Moroha's side to pick her up before he bolts from the spot, past both girls, yet turns to them. Something high up above this place is about to strike. His warning gained immediate action as Setsuna moved first, then Tawa, leaving Tokatsu to look up into the ceiling, which he roars and goes into it, climbing inside the ceiling to get to the top. As this was happening, the three and an unconscious Moroha jump outside the building in a hurry, running from the premises, yet even so the three turns to see what Naruto, Tokatsu, and Soonga sensed. From the top of the building stood Tokatsu, who appeared to be charging up, yet above it, they saw storm clouds high into the air, electricity coming from it, and striking the yellow orb, growing in size until Tokatsu finally let loose a beam of sorts at the light, yet was useless. In an instant a single bolt of lightning strikes down, blasting through the beam and obliterating the screaming Tokatsu, who turned to dust as the palace was destroyed with it, shocking the three at the sight, yet their eyes still on the sky. What is that? Tawa mutters as she saw a humanoid figure, body appearing to be made humanoid with electricity around it. Its head seemed to turn towards them, looking at the group, which they could tell it was doing so, yet simply turns around, becoming electricity that goes into the very storm clouds that start to disperse, but not before a glimpse of lighting was seen striking far away. What was that? Tawa asked, not understanding what she saw until she saw it just as Naruto did. Both turned to see Setsuna was shaking. Setsuna is... Tawa was about to touch her sister's shoulder but froze, taking in the expression she held, which was that of fury, her left hand a shaking fist with her gaze fixated on that lightning bolt. You know what this is, don't you? As he asked her that, she turns her back to them. That thing is nothing but a monster. Her gaze turns to pain. And I'll be the one to kill it one day. The two just stare at Setsuna, who starts to walk away, not seeing the complicated emotions of anger, fear, and sadness. Moro had just hummed as she carried the skull of a demon she slew, being followed by the others, with Naruto glancing back periodically to see Setsuna having a lost look in her eyes as she stared in another direction, stuck in her thoughts since the sight of that demon in the sky. Despite asking, she wouldn't tell them what happened. Yo, Mr. Jiyube! She half-demon princess called as she brought the bone head into the shack of the corpse dealer. Whatcha think? A few pats on the skull after placing it on a table had only gained a stare, with Naruto, Setsuna, and Tawa watching this scene. 10 mon. This price simply horrified the girl, who felt ripped off. This is a whole head. She slaps the skull. Yet a measly 10? A nod was given and an annoyed look was gained from her words. I'm telling you it's not even worth that much. Moroha grits her teeth at the price she was given. Tawa began to speak, gaining Jiyube's attention. Do you know anything about the dream butterfly by chance? This seemed to snap Setsuna out of it, as she annoyingly stares at her older sister, while the man shakes his head. If I don't know about it, then must be one of those cursed spirits. Have no clue about them. Any reason why? He noticed Setsuna look away, not caring for this at all. My sister here had her dreams stolen by the butterfly. I want to get them back for her. Despite the kindness she showed, Setsuna didn't like it. I don't care. I'll keep an eye out if I hear anything about it. His words gained a grateful bow from Tawa, who thanked him while Moroha faces him. Anyways, Jiyube. Any bounties that will pay even better? A raised eyebrow was gained, yet he just shrugs and takes out a large book which he opens, revealing stacks of pages of wanted. We just got this one today. Since you're half-demon princesses, I find you the perfect fit for it. Moroha smiles excitedly at his words. What is it? There's been a lot of the travelers going missing in the northern mountains. Maybe you guys can find out why. The girl just nods, liking the idea a lot, while Setsuna just looks out the window with Naruto staring at her. She seems better, but still. Naruto just recalls her change in demeanor upon what they saw a few days ago. I ride my bike to go somewhere, sang Moroha annoyingly, standing inside the basket of the bike. An annoyed Tawa rode while behind her sat Setsuna, trying to enjoy the peace yet failing because of the singing. Closely following behind them was Naruto, who kept his pace of the bike. Hey, Moroha! The oldest of the three girls began, gaining the one in front's attention, which she removed the AirPod. What? Get off and run like Naruto. I can't see with you in front of me. she told the girl, who instead smiles and pushes her butt in the girl's face. What reason do you need to see when I'm already the lookout, so thank me? This just angered the girl. Besides, I'm doing you a favor. Her words just gained a sigh from Setsuna, who felt like the only competent one, which was true, yet felt more so not wanting to deal with this. Moroha, you're gonna cause a crash if you keep blocking her view, called the blonde before he instantly regrets getting involved upon see her flash him a devilish grin. Really, Whiskers? And here I thought you didn't mind seeing my butt? After all, while we were floating in that portal I saw you staring at Setsuna's. Her words caused Naruto's eyes to widen in horror while both twins become shocked, looking back at Naruto with one being more angered than shocked. Naruto, is this true? I'll be sure to relay this with your mother when we return. Horror formed on his face as he shook his head, watching as Setsuna looked away, very annoyed, while Tawa sighs at her childhood friend being a perv on her sister of all things. It wasn't like that, he shouts, trying to defend himself. We were all heading in the same direction and I was behind you guys. The moment I looked away immediately. Yet this got a snort from Moroha. Why are you trying to defend yourself? It's not like I can blame you or anything, she began, Setsuna's gaze narrowing on what she's trying to say, and looks back at the girl still smiling. It's not your fault she wears such tight clothing, gives you a pretty good look. And this time, Setsuna blushed in embarrassment before glaring at Moroha, with Tawa just being shocked. Moroha, don't say things like that. What? It's not my fault her pants make her, but she stops upon Naginata being held at her throat, Setsuna glaring daggers at her now sweating comrade. If you continue rambling, I'll make you regret it. Yet she just smiles with sweat until she saw the look in her eyes widen. Watch out, Setsuna called as she hops off fast, with both girls looking ahead to see a child in their way. Screaming, they evade and slam into a tree that sent them flying with a broken bike. How is that possible? Muttered the blonde, who watched with sweat before he sighs at them crashing nearby. Well, let's get. Naruto stops to see Setsuna staring at him untrustworthy like while moving the white fur she wears to cover her butt. Oh come on, if you even try to touch, I will cut off your hand. Naruto just showed an annoyed look as they stood around the girl who was gobbling them a box of Pocky, looking as if she hasn't eaten in a couple of days. Damn, and I thought I eat a lot, muttered Moroha, who hands the girl another bag which she abruptly takes out of hunger. Can you blame her? She said her parents completely ignored her to take care of cats. Tawa raises a finger. It's what they call neglect in our time. Moroha lost shrugs with not much care. Well, in this era you steal. Moroha looks down at the girl. Hear anything about people going missing near a temple? Huh, nobody comes down from the mountain pass and whoever goes up there doesn't come back. That's why we're here, to look into it. She tilts her head upon hearing that. I don't know about that, but my village is at the foot of the mountain pass. With this information brought to them, Tawa thought of checking out the village first, and they did just that, bringing along the broken bike that needed repairs which were left against a tree as they approached the village they had been walking towards for some time, and it was there that they found an army of cats in it. WTF? Muttered the blonde at seeing how many cats there were, with Tawa looking at her friend in shock, clasping the young girl's ears. Naruto, language! Tawa told him, yet the girl looks up at the girl in confusion. What does what the funk mean? This just horrified Tawa, who glares at the blonde now whistling and looking away to avoid appearing to be guilty. See what you did? Calm down, Tawa. It's not like she knows what it means. Moroha began, coming to Naruto's rescue, yet even so the girl didn't appear to budge. Even so, he shouldn't say that around kids. This just annoyed Setsuna, who found her sister to need to get involved in things she would deem small, yet their attention turns back to the village, more especially the villagers who were holding and taking care of the cats, completely ignoring the children, and even the mother of the disgusted they were watching straight up gets ignored. Okay, that's messed up, Naruto said, immediately changing the last word upon seeing Tawa's gaze on him before back on the village again. Yup, just as I expected. Hiss. They all looked down at the cat that was showing Naruto its teeth, appearing to glare at the blonde and the girls that stood next to him. Wonder what its problem is? Tawa became silent at the sight of Moroha kicking the cat like a football, shocking her. How could you kick a cat? Demanded the girl, yet felt tapping from another, turning to look at Naruto. Why are you? She stops to see him pointing at something and turns her head to see that all the cats were hissing at them, looking demonic. Something wrong with your nose, Tawa? Can't you smell it? This village reeks of demons. Both Setsuna and Moroha ready their blades, surprising Tawa with Naruto placing a hand on his sword's hilt. Demon smell? As Tawa muttered to herself, they saw all the angry cats glaring at them with Naruto scratching his head. So what, we have to murder a bunch of demonic cats? As he asked that, it seemed to have set them off as they charged immediately, with Tawa taking out her broken sword with energy forming on it as they jumped high above them all. Soanga needs something large. As Naruto thought that, the sword immediately glows bright, which catches the other three off guard as they watched him swing, not realizing he has no idea what he was even swinging until something large slams into the cats that sent them flying with the light dying down to reveal. Whoa! Moroha muttered while Setsuna and Tawa were busy attacking as they swung their blades that also sent their foes attacking, yet Moroha just stared at Naruto's transformed Soanga, who was now a large club, yet on one side had a face which was a Ushioni with 4 long horns on its head. The blonde was staring at it in shock, yet it didn't feel much on the heavy side before his eyes widened and looked down to find multiple cats having jumped on his leg, biting into him and annoying him in the process. Best pay attention. Moroha shouts with a smile before her eyes widen and turn to see a wave of cats that overshadowed her. Ah, crimson! She was cut off as she found herself overcome with the cats that were biting and scratching her. Moroha. Tawa was cut off as more cats were jumping at her, yet her main attention was on her friend until she watched Naruto move. With one hand he stuck it in the ocean of cats to pull out as Moroha, who was covered in scratches and cuts before those same cats found themselves flying by the face of Soanga transformed state. These cats are pissing me off. Crimson. She was stopped by the blonde grabbing her wrist. We're still at a village. We could hit civilians that are hiding in their houses. He warned before they saw the cats immediately retreating, surprising them at seeing this scene. They're running away? Moroha asked before they noticed Naruto flinch as Soanga transforms back, causing him to fall to a knee, exhausted. Naruto, are you okay? Tawa makes her way to Naruto to help him up while he lifts his sword. Idiot. This gained the annoying glare of Tawa, who directed it at the sword in Naruto's hand. What's your problem? She questioned the legendary sword that answers in great annoyance. Foolish child, the problem is that he relies on me transforming myself, which will drain him. She glared at the sword for its rudeness, yet Naruto shakes his head, surprising her by that before Setsuna spoke up. I don't like agreeing with it, but the sword is right. Setsuna gives Naruto a serious look. You rely on its transformation, which ends up draining you. You need to train with the sword more so you won't need to rely on its transformations. Before they could continue what they were talking about, they heard a child calling for her mother and looked to see the villagers snapping out of it while the child was next to her mother, who finally woke up, hugging her daughter much to Tawa's relief, yet Naruto noticed immediately that a few adults were looking around in worry, starting to shout names. Omari, where are you? One mother began to shout as she starts looking around before at them. Have you seen my son? As she asked that, a few other parents joined her side to face them, which they were surprised but shook their heads. We haven't seen any other children, but we'll keep an eye out for them, Tawa assured the mothers and father that had gathered around them, yet that still didn't help as they were looking around. Let's split up, we'll cover more ground. Immediately the parents of the missing kids had begun to move out, much to their surprise, in search of their kids. Tawa just frowns. Now I get it, must have been the demon cat's doing. She displays a bothered expression. I didn't notice before, the smell of demons. As she said it, Setsuna started to smile as if finding that to be funny. You need to develop your senses. Setsuna began a clear smile on her face, which Naruto notices. Sniff, sniff, I've never smelled anything like this before. She gave her sister an apologetic smile. Of course not, since that Tokyo place didn't have any demons. You've never had to pick up on their scent till now. But if you don't get used to it soon, don't plan on living much longer. Her words gained a smile from Tawa, who understood, with Setsuna looking up ahead. I think the demonic cats ran towards the mountain pass. Her words caused the three to look where she was looking, towards the mountain pass. Oh, maybe those missing travelers were eaten by the cats, huh? Moroha smiles confidently. Easy win, so let's go hunt some evil kitties. With that declaration, they start to move until Setsuna was stopped by the little girl calling for them, which she approaches. Yes? Well, thank you for everything you did, she said with a bright smile, surprising Setsuna, yet that surprise relaxes and shows a gentle and sincere smile as she bends a little. You're welcome. She proceeds to stand up straight. Let us know if something like this happens again. A nod was given to the younger twin, which she turns to realize Naruto was watching with a smile, causing her cheeks to redden in embarrassment as she walks past him. Ignore that. Which part? You acting kind or smiling? His words gained an annoyed glare, but look away. You know, you should smile more often. Setsuna's eyes widen a little and glances at the blonde. It suits you more than remaining with that blank expression. Setsuna suddenly starts moving faster, walking ahead of Naruto. Did I say some? He stops talking when his gaze for a split second moved down below her waist due to a thought of what Moroha had said came to the surface, which made him instinctively check to see if they were. That moment of not thinking led to his downfall. Due to the moment he looked up, he saw both Moroha and Tawa had stopped and been currently staring at him. Tawa began to glare while Moroha nods in agreement with her smile. See what I said, the pants she wears does make her be. Moroha was silenced by Tawa abruptly clasping her mouth, confusing her until they saw an ice-cold aura coming off of Setsuna, who turns her gaze on Naruto. You once again placed your perverted gaze on me, you fiend. Her weapon found its way at his throat, which all he could do was smile awkwardly. Setsuna, it's... He stops to see Tawa sigh and turn away in disappointment. Is this why you always wanted to see me in a skirt, just a perv? And just like that, Naruto fell to his knees as he felt like he was stabbed in the heart from his image being torn to pieces. Setsuna just stared at him, sweat dropping as her anger started subsiding as she found this to be punishment enough and turned away from the blonde, leaving him to catch up to them once he snaps out of his grief from Tawa labeling him a pervert. It was at this time, a certain monk sneezed. Why do I have the urge to pray for some poor kid? It was sunset by the time the four had arrived at the temple. The four gathered outside, with one blonde being depressed for how he's been treated so far as a pervert. Jiyube wasn't kidding, this is an old temple. Tawa spoke at seeing splinters all over the flooring and cracks in the support pillars. Whole place looks suspicious, Moroha muttered, with Setsuna looking around in suspicion, yet no demon energy at all. Setsuna muttered with them looking at her. They must be hiding somewhere, and concealing their demonic aura. Do you have some business at this temple? The muffled voice came from inside, drawing their attention to the wooden door that slid open to reveal a monk, but at that moment, Naruto's eyes widened along with Tawa's, but for two different reasons. That's Julian! Tawa's words of shock confused the hell out of Setsuna and Moroha, who stare at her with them looking at Naruto to see he was annoyed, forced to recall the karaoke nights with Tawa, who had no talent in singing. He loved her, but it was the only time he just wished he wasn't near her. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, you can call me Juan. The monk of the temple introduces himself to the three, yet Tawa just turns to them in shock. I don't believe it, he looks exactly like me and Mei's favorite idol. As she spoke, they understood less, with Setsuna tilting her head. Idol, there she goes talking about weird Tokyo stuff again. The two just shake their head, not getting what she means, much to the offense of Tawa, who looks at Naruto pleasingly only to get the blonde whistling with his eyes on a bird, causing a tick to form on her head as payback for calling him a pervert. She immediately begins to throw a small tantrum, almost growling as she stomps in place with her arms swinging at her sides. No! She smiles weakly, pointing at the poor confused monk. I'm telling you, he looks just like him, but with a full head of hair. The last part caused the monk's eye to twitch. Could he be Julian's ancestor? It was hearing this, Naruto silently and half-heartedly considered offing the guy to avoid another karaoke night at Tawa's house. Geez, we get it, so chill out, spoke the now annoyed Moroha. You're weirding the hell out of us. She had started to sweat drop, with Setsuna already ahead and Naruto trying to ignore the starstruck Tawa. They all sat in the main room within the temple, sitting with dim candles having been lit. I see. Juan begins. So there are demonic cats in the mountain. I'm surprised to have not heard of this till now. Yet the four didn't stop to ask more. Have you seen anything strange lately? Such as? A lot of people have gone missing lately. All of them were traveling through the mountain pass. Between the exchanges, Juan places a hand on his chin in thought. I've offered many travelers a night in this temple, but nothing out of the ordinary has happened. This caused Moroha to become suspicious that the blonde had picked up on whole Naruto glances at Soonga. It is getting late, but the four of you are welcome to stay until morning if you would like. He puts on a concerned look. It might be wise, the mountain pass can be quite dangerous after dark. It was after hearing this that Moroha had just smiled. Sure, we'll take you up on that offer, under the condition we get separate rooms. It was when Setsuna said this that Naruto looks to see she was eyeing him dangerously, causing him to sweat drop, while Moroha snickers to herself and looks at Juan while wrapping an arm around Naruto's neck, much to his annoyance. Our room with whiskers, she offers, gaining a sigh from the blonde, who wondered if she just wanted to mess with him some more or was being nice, yet Juan just looks between the two before realization came to him. I see, then I'll begin setting up the rooms. You may wait here. With a smile, he stands up and walks out of the main room, which leaves them to their thoughts. Naruto and Moroha stood side by side, one not wanting to process what he was seeing while the other regretting ever offering to room with Naruto because before them lay a single bed. Quickly a blushing Moroha turns to Wan, not even waiting for him to speak. Due to the fact we have a limited point of beds, you two can share this one. Wan offered with a caring smile. As lovers, I prepared the biggest one. That seemed to have caused the two to have their eyes widen as they slowly look at him in shock, surprising him. Is there a problem? We're not lovers. That single reply was all that was needed from the monk, whose eyes just widened in awkward silence. Oh, he began, trying to break the silence. We only had 3 spares. The silence just increases before he steps away. I'll go see how the others are doing. And with that, he left with the door sliding shut behind him. There was more silence as the two didn't know what to say, yet Naruto just sighs. Geez, why does this crap ha? He stops when he saw Moroha still acting very nervous. Moroha, what's the? I don't want to have a kid. What? At this point, Naruto was just staring at the blushing Moroha, who turns to Naruto and points at him. I've just been teasing you, okay? Her face got redder. The only reason why I offered was that you won't be alone, but that doesn't mean I want to have a kid with you. What? This caused the girl to become nervous as she looks away. You knows, don't you? When a guy and girl sleep in bed together, 9 months later a baby is born. It was after she said that, her gaze came back on Naruto to not be greeted with embarrassment like herself, but something else entirely. You're an idiot. Why? She was cut off by the blonde bopping her on the head with his fist. OW. She rubs her head. Why are you hitting me? Don't you understand? She was silenced by the teen grabbing her face by the cheeks and spreading it, gaining an ow while he spoke. Whoever told you that shit is an idiot? Sleeping in bed is not what makes a baby. Really? As this exchange happened, Moroha realized how she's been acting and looks away now embarrassed. Well, let's just forget this ever happened. As she said that, Naruto just stared at her before moving himself to lean against the wall, surprising her by this. You can take the bed, I'll stay up. In response to this, she shows a big smile before showing a silently annoyed look. So, can you smell it, or are you just like Tawa? This question had surprised him, yet he sniffs the air and frowns. Some kind of odor, it doesn't smell good and kinda like smoke. This got her to smile as she nods though frown again. Though that monk, sadly he smells 100% human, so this isn't gonna be over fast. Her words caused Naruto to place a hand on his chin in thought before the girl stands up and stretches. Welp, no time to waste. Moroha proceeds to get in her bed, under her blankets. Time to pretend I'm sleeping and draw them out. She holds her sword close to her chest, smiling brightly once again, yet while this was happening, Naruto just stared at her in wonder. So why do you want money? How did you become in debt to the dealer? That question had gotten her attention but lays on her stomach while facing him. It's a bothersome story. My teacher had me go into a demon cave to fight a bunch of demons myself without relying on my rouge, and in turn surviving means I get Kurikuramaru. She pats the blade. By the time I got out of there, my teacher had left me to bet me and lose me to the demon gambling house. At this point, Naruto had a WTF expression on his face. She wanted money to continue playing her gambling games. But Jiyubei offered to pay off her debt, and pay her in exchange for the sword along with me working under him until I can pay off the debt. Naruto just stared at her and sighs. Your teacher is an asshole. Reminds me of my grandpa who used me for gambling due to me being lucky. Tell me about, did you say gambling and lucky? She had stars in her eyes which made the blonde glare at her, gaining a suspicious innocent whistling before watching him blow out the candles, one by one until the room was engulfed by darkness until only the moon gave them light. With this, the girl pretended to sleep while Naruto just closed his eyes. In the matter of an hour, it had all began as the two felt it, and above them came an army of angry cats. Moroha. As he said it, eyes opening, the girls just smiles and does the same upon them, jumping down towards her. I knew you stupid demon cats would fall for this. With that shout, she throws the blankets at them and delivers a barrage of slashes at the cats, sending them hurtling back from the powerful strikes that were delivered. Naruto, above you! Her shout caused him to turn to see them all jump at him, yet he swings Soonga, hitting a number of them while a few latch onto him and bite before they were thrown off by the blonde in a hurry just as the two heard footsteps and turn at the arrival of Tawa, Setsuna, and the monk. You too, huh? Tawa said, seeing the room filled with demonic cats that were slain, with Naruto looking at his sword due to not finding it very comfortable in swinging a sword while Moroha just stared at the monk. How did you not even notice these demon cats? Her question just confused him, while Setsuna adds to the conversation of why this temple of all things. It may be my training has failed in detecting them? However, the truth is there is a very old legend that surrounds this temple. As he began to explain the legend, Naruto just stared at the monk as he felt something was off, with Soanga remaining silent until they felt it. The temple shook. What's happening? Could it be something outside? Immediately they reacted as Naruto and Moroha had jumped out the opened window, followed by Setsuna, yet the moment they did so the three instantly witnessed the window closing, much to their surprise. Tawa, what's? His attention was drawn, like the other two girls, towards the large demonic-looking cat that roars at them. Let's hit it together! Moroha shouts as she and Setsuna already made a move, leaping at it, while Naruto just stood there in surprise as he didn't hand-shy long-range attacks, watching both girls unleash their attacks without hesitation at the monster, both digging into it much to Moroha's happiness. And she was silenced at the cat turn-apart body was reattaching itself and filling the missing flesh with aura, yet it was at this point the red-cloaked girl smelled something. Wait, this cat doesn't smell like the others? This got Naruto's attention as his eyes turned to her. What are you talking about? He shuts up as he and Moroha jump back from a swipe just as Setsuna throws a demon slayer bomb at the cat's face, lighting it on fire, yet instead of repairing flesh they saw something else. The mere sight caused his eyes to widen in complete shock, and that was a large number of human skulls could be seen from his head, few falling in the ground and rolling away with other pieces of bone. Human bones? Most likely those bones belonged to the victims it's devoured. The two girls only stared at it seriously, yet as they talked about the one in control, Naruto just tunes it out as he stared at the skulls, more specifically the children's skulls, then to the parents searching for their kids. Slowly he starts to grit his teeth as veins began to form on his forehead. It was at this point both girls froze and turned, seeing Naruto's hair had started to grow out more. Whi skiers? Moroha muttered as she saw his teeth becoming canines and his nails growing, with his whiskers turning darker. How could you? They were children! His scream met the roar of the cat that leaps for Naruto, who pulled back Soanga and immediately transforms into the large club that he swung at full force, the might of it slamming into the cat's face and sending it crashing into the side of the temple, gaining a roar as it started picking itself up with the wounds healing, annoying both girls while Soanga returns to normal. Stop playing around, end this weakling. Naruto jolts and looks down at the weapon, at Soanga, whose jewels began to glow brightly, which alerted the girls. Naruto, don't listen to the weapon. We can. She stops to see he was lifting the sword, and the look in his eyes held not a single speck of mercy. Roar! It charges at the blonde, much to the shock of Setsuna and Moroha, who leaped towards the cat that was charging at their friend. Dodge! Whiskers! Yet he didn't hear them as he spoke a single word. Soanga! That name caused the demonic cat monster to come to a halt as its body started shaking, surprising the two half-demon princesses at what was happening before they saw it, blood leaking from the blade of the sword onto the earth, causing a sudden change as the plant life immediately began to die as it spreads. The moment it came into contact with the cat monster, it began to roar and spasm. The innocent will be avenged. Believe it. Naruto points his blade at the monster. Hear my command and exact vengeance upon this monster. It was with this command that the monster began to shake as it stumbled back from wounds ripping open all over its body. Both girls could only stare at the horrible sight of skeletons bursting out all over its body and tearing at their skin. The three just watched it fall over as the bones inside it broke free from the inside and tore at the skin and muscle, ripping it apart. In the end, Naruto turns his attention back to the temple, with his gaze narrowing as he runs to the door. Tawa! The moment his hand makes contact with the door, it was repelled by an energy-like shield, much to their surprise. Move it, Whiskers! His attention was drawn to the girl pulling back her arrow in her bow, firing a single glowing sacred arrow that connected with the barrier, and immediately dispersed it, allowing Naruto to slide it open, where he found Tawa in front of the demonic monk. Nar. Tawa's eyes widened as she took in his changed appearance, with his gaze still serious, stuck on the monk while the other two girls arrive. Who are you? That single question got a laugh from the demon. For the last 100 years, I had been sealed beneath the floor of this temple until recently by this pathetic excuse, for a monk held a service for me. The monk has been a useful disguise, so I allowed him to live. But I may change my mind, so what will you do? he was silenced by Setsuna immediately leaping into action and slashing his chest, which he narrowly dodges, revealing a feline foot on his chest. Is that a cat's paw? So that's your main body. Their gazes harden as they spot the source of the demon, the paw attached to its chest, much to the demon's anger. There's a smell coming from your chest that wasn't there when you were disguised as a human. Her words only got a smile from the possessed monk as the paw began to recede into the body, transforming his arms into more of a feline, horrifying Tawa, while Setsuna, Moroha, and Naruto just prepare themselves. Ah, go ahead and split me in two along with the monk if you dare. His shout was followed by the swipe of his hand, sending red demonic energy slashes at them, which they evaded, with Naruto swiping Moroha's feet so she would fall and not be hit before getting up immediately. Come on, what are you trying to do? Kill somebody? Her angry rant began, missing the point that the demon was trying to kill her, which Setsuna prepares herself along with Naruto. If that's how you feel, then I won't hold back. Immediately Tawa got in front of her sister with her arms extended. You can't, Setsuna, please. Her words just annoyed her sister. Apparition or not, that still, she was cut off by her name being shouted, turning to look at Naruto. One or not, he's being used by a demon that's killed innocent children. He points his blade at the possessed monk. I will not allow this to continue. As he spoke, the jewel of Soanga started to glow, shocking her but recalling how he acted. Unless you know of a way to kill the demon cat and not the monk, then go ahead. She appeared unsure of herself before hearing footsteps and looks to see Naruto preparing himself with Moroha walking past her. Geez, Tawa, the girl frowns at her. If you can't figure something out, then stay out of the way. She prepares herself next to Naruto and Setsuna. The three prepared to kill the monk, which shocks her until another voice was heard from Moroha's shoulder. Master Inuyasha was able to spare opponents. Spoke none other than Myoga, who had arrived and was jumping on her shoulder. The hell you mean? Questions the daughter of Inuyasha, gaining the attention of the other three. Master Inuyasha weapon, the Tesseiga could absorb his foe's demonic aura. Soanga shakes a little at hearing the sword's name. It would leave everything else alone but that. This just annoyed the girl, who knew they didn't have it before they once again jumped out of the way, with Naruto landing as he and Setsuna prepare themselves, crouching much to Tawa's horror. Try if you dare, I'll kill you before you even try it. The possessed monk shouts at the group, preparing itself as it couches and leaps at them, yet his claws met the blades of Naruto and Setsuna, with Moroha dashing for the center as she thrusts her sword forward, narrowing, missing the possessed, whose cheek was cut as it jumps back to fire out more energy slashes at the group, who blocked them yet were sent skidding back with Tawa still in front of her. Guys, we see a. She was grabbed by her jacket and lifted, her gaze meeting Naruto's red eyes. Tawa, people died, children were killed, families separated, this is not the time for that. His shout had caused her to jolt, with the demon leaping for them, only to be met with Setsuna and Moroha, blocking its strikes, while Naruto held the wide-eyed girl who just stared at him. Not everyone can be saved. He drops Tawa, who lands on her feet, not speaking but her gaze meeting the ground. The best thing we can do for him is to kill him to prevent slap. At this point, both Setsuna and Moroha were caught off guard by the white-haired girl having slapped Naruto across the face, but none were as shocked as Naruto, who just stood there, processing what she did, but he just touches his cheek. Not everyone can be saved. The best thing. Really, that's your excuse? Her words caused him to grit his teeth but froze when she saw her eyes. Determination. I will not allow you to become a murderer, so just trust me instead of doubting me. Her words caused his eyes to widen as he recalled when he almost killed the thugs. It was with this realization he started to calm down, as the murdered children were what had set him off. It's not revenge. When did I become okay with taking another person's life? Someone who's being used? Naruto looks down at Soanga, his features returning to normal besides his eyes, which narrow on the blade. Soanga! No response was given from the blade, yet Setsuna was already very much annoyed at what was happening between the two of them. Tawa, if he doesn't die, then we will. Setsuna gained her sister's attention. How long are you going to drag that arrow with you? Your life is at stake here and now. Sever those ideals along with it. She was cut off by her sister. I can't do that. This took her and Moroha by surprise, which the possessed took his chance and swung up, causing their blades to move towards the ceiling, much to their surprise as Setsuna turns to look as the possessed swung his claws for her eyes, only for a fist to slam into his face that sent him through the air and into the wall, surprising both girls, who look at Naruto, cracking his knuckles. Naruto, why aren't she saw Soanga stabbed sheathed and on the floorboard, much to her surprise. Setsuna, you've had a taste of what it's like there. How peaceful it was with everyone there. Her words began to make her determination falter, as she glances back to see, much to her shock, Naruto not relying on any weapon yet was standing his ground and knocking the demon around, leaving Moroha to stand there dumbfounded why he was using his fists, yet it started to excite her at the kind of fight going on. Listen, after I return your dreams and saving Naruto, I'm going back with him because I made a promise to Mei. After she said that, she walks past Setsuna and towards the fight between Naruto and the possessed monk who was getting the shit knocked out of it by the enhanced walking reanimated corpse. I'm fine risking my life, but I won't take the lives of others. With her words, the pearl in her left eye glows bright, angering the possessed. Pathetic. He swings a hand at her, sending a wave at Tawa, much to Naruto's worry, yet was shocked to see her dodging all of them before placing both hands on her broken sword that forms an energy blade. Hang on, Wan, we're going to save you. Her words had confused Moroha and Setsuna at how she was going to do that, which she proceeds to release the energy that spreads out and wrapped around the monk, forcing the aura to manifest behind him before he dashes with the blade aimed towards the monk, more so towards the part she senses where the demon cat was coming from inside Wan. Upon contact, the cat screeches as its body was pierced. What is she? Naruto's eyes widen as he watched her absorbing the aura from the piece of the demon, taking them by surprise as they watched the light increase, vanquishing it in the end. How did she? Moroha could only say as they watched her turn to look at them with a smile. See, she starts to wobble. I saved high. She starts to fall, only for Naruto to grab her, stopping her fall as she leans into his body, which all he does is smile at the exhausted and passed out girl. Amazing! Myoga began, bouncing on Moroha's shoulder. Lady Tawa somehow was able to absorb the demon power of the cat. As he said this, Naruto looked outside to see the pile of bones. This sight caused him to show disgust with his previous actions, while Soanga remained silent as if irritated while what remains of the demon had fallen out of the monk's robe and turns bony. Her naivete will very well be her downfall someday. Setsuna stops at seeing Naruto just smiling as he picks up Tawa in her arms. She's always been like that, stubborn as hell, honestly. But that's also a part of her I love. If not for her, I would have crossed that line without realizing it. This seemed to surprise her, but she frowns. You were prepared to do what needed to be done, holding regrets for you needed to do. Setsuna stops to see he was shaking his head and looks at her. The day will come I will eventually have to kill someone if it means protecting Tawa. I want to be in the right mind when that day comes, not being led by my anger or anything. This just confused her, not even getting what he meant, which Moroha smiles at, finding this interesting. What I'm saying is, when the day comes I have to kill someone, I want it to be my full decision, not guided by any emotions, but something that needs to be done. He just smiles at the peaceful look on her face. After all, I don't want to become some murderer. It was as he spoke this, Myoga just looked between the smiling Naruto and sleeping Tawa until his eyes slowly widen. Could it be? Is he perhaps Lady Tawa's lover? His gaze moves between the two. Would Lord Sesshomaru approve? As this thought was happening, Naruto turns to look at the bones all over the ground and knew he had to bury them before they left. It was in the afternoon, bearing sunset, they had finally returned to the village, entering the elder's house, Kiid's house, who turns to see the three of them. Did everything go well? She questions Naruto, Moroha, and Setsuna, who are the only ones listening, with Tawa still sleeping on Naruto's back. Just a crazy day. The blonde answered as he lays Tawa down and places blankets over her body, which she ends up rolling in it while pulling them closer to herself. This merely got him to smile at the scene while Moroha just plops down, too tired to head back to her actual residence. Gonna stay the night, your mind? Moroha's question just got a smile from Kiid, who looked at her as if she were someone else just as they noticed Setsuna picking up her violin case before turning to leave. Where are you going? It's of no concern to you. You guys can just stay here. Without any more information being given, she walks out of the tent, leaving them, which surprised Naruto, yet his thoughts drifted back to that lightning strike. Was the only sound he made, and turns to Moroha, who caught his gaze. I'll be back. Mind watching over Tawa? His words surprised the girl, but she shrugs. Sure, not like it'll be hard. Her gaze travels to the sleeping girl before turning to see Naruto approaching the opening, yet stops from his name being called. Turning, he sees Kiid held a piece of paper, which his eyes widen. You dropped this and I've forgotten to give this back to you. As she said that, he takes the envelope and stared at it, which intrigued Moroha. What's in it? Don't know, we can look at it once Tao wakes up. He turns around. I'll be back. With that said, he walks out and leaves the three by themselves, which Moroha just lays on her back and stares at the ceiling. I don't want to have a kid. As she thought about her words, her face starts heating up and ends up slamming it in her pillow, confusing the elder who couldn't make out her mumbling as but the word "I'm an idiot" multiple times. While this was happening, Naruto had caught up to Setsuna, who was patting Kilala in its large form, which said demon blinks in surprise, causing Setsuna to turn and see him. What is it? Felt like you could use a travel buddy. This single back and forth caused Setsuna to frown and turn away. Do not even bow. She frowns at seeing Naruto already getting on Kilala, annoying her greatly before she sighs. No matter what I say, you won't listen. She gets on Kilala, right in front of you. If I catch you staring, I will gouge out your eyes. The last part caused his eyes to widen as a deep blush forms on his face while he looks away. Almost saying not my fault. From flying to walking, the two were making their way through a forest. Kilala merely yawns from Setsuna's shoulder, yet it was giving Naruto side glances now and again during their walk, causing him the sweat drop at the obvious mindset that the Nikomata had. Despite allowing him to ride her, she still appeared hesitant towards Naruto, and he wasn't the only one to notice this but also Setsuna. It's most likely because your scent had changed drastically because of Soonga's power. She looks back to meet his eyes. Your body most likely produces a scent that she deems as a threat. Her words caused him to frown. If that's true, then I don't doubt I'm gonna be dealing with a lot of that until I'm resurrected. If I can be, that is. His tone took a more sad turn, which Setsuna looks back to see he was bothered but looks away. So, why did you come here? He took notice of the fact she puts on a bothered expression, more so sad. I'm just here to pay my respect. This caused his eyes to widen just as they make a turn and found a clearing. The sight of it caused his eyes to widen at the fact up ahead where a line of stones sticking out of the earth, each one having a name on it. Naruto was just shocked and turns to Setsuna, who walks forwards, only stopping in front of the graves, her gaze on them before noticing Naruto stopping next to her. Let me guess, this has to do with those cursed spirit things and the specific one that boss demon slayer guy was talking about, along with that lightning. This had taken her by surprise, but she looks away. Tawa also noticed your expression but didn't dig into it. He looks at the graves. I know I have no right to ask you about it. Plus we just met, and also would be best for you to talk to Tawa. He stops to see she frowns. She'll just make a big deal about it. I don't want to deal with her feeling sorry for me. As he heard that, he moves his gaze back on the tombstones. The earliest memory from what I can think of was a burning forest all around me. This caused his eyes to widen and narrow. Most likely you lost our memory right before that, though it's odd. As he muttered that, Setsuna looked around. I ended up here after the fire. Truth be told, this was never a clearing. There used to be large rock formations and a waterfall. This confused him as he looks, his eyes seeing that it was flat yet not entirely. Despite the grass on the ground, what was noticeable was that many trees outside the clearing were pushed back and tilting as if some massive force did it before his thoughts go back to the lightning strike. It was this thought he was now shocked. I was not alone. I had Ms. Shiori and other children were there too. She places a hand on the largest tombstone from where she stood. She made a hidden village right here, a haven for half-demons like us. After the fire was over, I could do nothing but stare at the ruins. Then someone came to me, which was a two-headed beast. It spoke to me, and I was taken to this mountain where it left me yet told me I must live. It was there I met the kids and Ms. Shiori, who welcomed me. She looks at the sky to see the sun was almost set. Ms. Shiori invited me to stay with them, in that hidden village where half-demon children called home. Ms. Shiori was a half-demon from the demon bat tribe and had the power to create barriers. It was her barrier that protected the peace of the village. I got used to living there pretty quickly. We would gather food during the day and at night we hid. I learned numbers and how to read and write. Setsuna began to smile as she had a lost look in her eyes. Soon enough, from time to time, items would arrive that was addressed to me. Cut the wind. After reading that, I don't know why, but I felt compelled to follow those orders, and I kept training. Humans would never stray this far into the mountains, but sometimes demons would make their way here. Most of them would give up since they can't get past the barrier, but the persistent ones would just wait until we reveal ourselves from the village. We would work together to take down those stubborn demons. We did well as a team, however. Ms. Shiori always looked mournful after those battles. She understood that we had to kill these enemies, but deep down she hoped the world would have become a better place for everyone. She frowns with her gaze seeing the sun had set, casting night upon them as her memory began to take a turn. After 6 years in that village, I suddenly received a surprising letter which told me to return to where I was born. Ms. Shiori urged me to go, and so I left and found myself in the village where Priestess Keed lived. However, I didn't stay there for long. After taking down some bandits pillaging in the area, I came to a realization. She closed her eyes. I didn't belong with them, so Ms. Shiori welcomed me back with open arms when I returned and didn't ask me any questions either. She began to pet Kilala. My friends were happy that I was back too. I thought I could live the rest of my life in that peaceful place, but I couldn't. Her hands turned to fists. Ms. Shiori's a half-demon too. There are days she loses her demon powers and with it her barrier, yet, out of any time for that day to happen, it happened when Ms. Shiori's power returned when her barrier is at its strongest. She stops and looks at the sky. Her hands fall to her sides and she starts to grit. She was shaking with Naruto staring at her. Setsuna, you can stop if it's bothering you. This caused her to shake her head, the anger clear in her eyes. It doesn't matter if I say anything or don't. It doesn't change what happened, and it doesn't stop the pain when I think or talk about it. That day, all I saw was storm clouds having formed above the mountain. I thought it was odd but didn't pay much attention until it happened. A massive beast came out of the clouds made of lightning. Without even a single word of warning, it strikes with a single flash, destroying the barrier in the process with enough force it obliterated everything. Naruto saw she was now shaking. And everyone, but me. She stops to feel a hand resting on her back. It was that comforting gesture that gave her the strength to continue. When I came to, I somehow survived and found myself laying on the ground. It was raining hard. It took me seconds to realize another stood before me, the cause. I ended up passing out, only coming to find I was spared. Anger once again formed on her face, pure anger as her memories came back to that day. Yet even so she closed her eyes. Letting her anger out didn't suit her or help at all, not since her rampage upon waking up after losing them. Setsuna just frowns, once again compelled in talking to the blonde, and turns to say something yet he was frozen, his eyes widen and staring at the sky. What are you? Setsuna froze as she turned her head to look where he was staring at, seeing it very clearly despite the sun having said it was still clear. A being was floating above them with blue electricity coursing around it. Upon seeing it, hate forms in Setsuna's gaze as she grabs her Naginata tightly. Kilala at this point was growling in its large form. How dare you come here? Setsuna brought back her Naginata. Scourge of Swallows. With a single big slash in the air, she unleashes a massive barrage of green swallows towards the being who stares before he was gone with a flash of lightning, alerting them with Naruto grabbing Sounga's sword handle. Don't attack it, boy. This immediately confused him before the hair on the back of their necks stood up and turned to be met with the being, its form now visible as a humanoid. It wore a ragged cloak yet was open enough to show its body was completely white, having light blue cracks running through it with electricity. It had no face but was completely flat, smooth even yet appeared to be staring at them. Damn you! With that shout, she spins her weapon in its direction. Cyclone burst. With that, a large cyclone of wind was directed at the cursed spirit, yet it didn't even twitch as it was confusing. It was during this time that Naruto heard it. It didn't come here to fight. I sense no ki from it, but as you are now, you are nowhere near its level. Naruto just looks at Sounga while he was giving him advice before he realized he needed him alive. This caused him to frown. Don't just stand around, you idiot. Setsuna's shout gained his attention to see she wasn't stopping her attack. Attack and no. She couldn't even finish upon the wind exploding to show only the cloak was destroyed, revealing from the weight as if it were wearing pants was a black storm like clouds with more electricity. The same goes for its arms except the physical hands. Setsuna was gritting her teeth in anger, seeing her attacks weren't doing anything before in a flash it was gone, appearing behind Setsuna who had no time to react as her right wrist was grabbed tightly and lifted in the air. He couldn't finish. The moment he made a move he found a foot slammed into his stomach that sent him flying into Ms. Shiori's tombstone, uprooting it from the ground much to Setsuna's horror and glares with hate at the being. How dare you! Setsuna proceeds to punch it in the face yet it had no effect. No matter the amount of time she did so, it didn't have any effect. Just as Kilala roared and leaped for the foe with a single lightning strike, the beast crashes into the earth, blood leaking from its mouth as a large burn could be seen in its body. Kilala! Setsuna shouted in horror and glared at the cursed spirit, yet it ignored her and stared at her wrist where a symbol appeared, shocking Setsuna at what it planned on doing. No, stop! Yet it made a single hand sign before touching the symbol, immediately causing her to scream in pain before it drops Setsuna and takes a step back, narrowly missing the strike of a large club, with Naruto getting next to Setsuna with the sword turning back to normal. Setsuna, are you? The moment he placed a hand on her, he was pushed away by the girl, who drops her weapon and clutches her head in pain. The sight confused Naruto, yet he turns his focus on the cursed spirit that watched. What did you do? His demand was just ignored, simply watching, with Naruto turning back, and he saw red markings appearing on her arms as she screamed. Her demon blood has been unleashed. Soanga's words took him by surprise, looking at the weapon. Explain, now. He stopped as he felt his chest ache as if his non-eating heart was grabbed. Watch your tone. I may have been helpful to you, but don't think I will let your disrespect slide. This caused him to grit his teeth as he fell to one knee, looking up as Setsuna ripped off her sleeves, his fingernails becoming claws. It's quite obvious she was born with a much higher amount of demon blood than her sister. It has caused an imbalance, just like with her older sister who lacks the power. Though it's obvious she doesn't have a knack for demonic energy attacks. When he heard that, he didn't get it but saw green aura consume Setsuna, with Naruto only able to watch as markings had formed on her face just as her eyes could be seen as blood red, with her gaze focusing on the cursed spirit, yet she grabbed her arm, trying to control herself. Damn you, damn you! Her canines were now visible. If it wasn't for you, they would still be alive. My family, my home. You ruined everything. Why? Despite hearing her words, it simply tilted its head. Why? Upon hearing that, their eyes widened as it placed a hand on its chin and stared at the sky with its smooth face. Why, indeed? Despite no mouth, they still heard it clearly, as if it were speaking to them from inside their heads. It was then that lightning sparked and openings started to form on the face. It's simple. The opening formed a face, a twisted and evil, pure, sinister smile. Because it was fun. Its blank tone took a more easygoing tone, as if having fun, and that was the last straw as she leaped for the foe, yet it merely got behind her with ease, causing her to turn, yet was slammed in the side with its arm that sent he skidding back. I've seen what I wanted to see. It turns its back to them, leading to many questions. The girl had leaped again, yet it was already gone, much to Naruto's confusion at why it did what it did, but his main attention was on Setsuna grabbing her head, with her aura increasing before she screams again as her ponytail became undone, letting her hair free, as her eyes were now pure red while a crescent moon marking on her forehead, slashing the air, and with it green energy waves were unleashed everywhere, more so right at the tombstones, which Naruto loved fast and got in front of it, having Soanga turn into the ox club that he uses to deflect the waves. Setsuna! Yet his shout met deaf ears as she indiscriminately unleashed her aura waves at everything around her before her claws met Naruto's, who grabbed her wrist, having sheathed Soanga. Fool, was the only word he got as he was struggling in his grip of Setsuna, who swung her other arm, but he stopped it at her wrist as well. Shit, I can even state the demonic aura coming off of her. As he thought that, he could see she had no control over herself, just as he saw a new red marking making its way over her right arm, and with it, the release of a pink aura in the shape of butterfly wings from her back that also had a covering of green aura. What the hell? A single kick met his stomach once again as he was sent skidding back, looking up to see she had already dashed at him with her claws, making its way across the right side of his face as he but didn't dodge the second that grabbed his face and forced him into the earth, where he was dragged into it in a long line before lifted high into the air and punched again, sending him falling right into the ground with an explosion of debris. Yet he still sat up covered in wounds, his gaze on the berserk Setsuna, who lands before him, approaching him slowly while he stood up. Shit, you're strong, he mutters, and watched her once again touch her head in pain, causing another outburst of anger as she brought up both arms. This sight caused him to get ready to dodge until he realized something and looks to see his back was to the tombstones. Shit! He turns to see her with a scream, bring down her arms, and unleash large twin energy waves right at him. This sight caused him to unconsciously grab Soanga and stood his ground, knowing it would only bring her more pain upon snapping out of it. Soanga, damn fool, was the only thought as the weapon glows bright and expands as the waves slam into it, causing an explosion with smoke and debris going in all sorts of directions before it starts to fade to reveal a large crab-like shell with spikes all over it, and 3 shrimp-like tails going in 3 different directions. The center in the front showed a face that was concealed between a large forehead and lower jaw, both of which have spiked with 2 eyes on it. Damn! Muttered Naruto, who was behind the shield, yet he flinched as the shield returned to its normal sword form. This sight caused Setsuna to grab her head again before she screams and charges at him, while all he did was stand up, feeling exhausted from the effects of using Soonga's transformation, yet he prepared himself. If you can't even manage to knock her out, then kill her. The jewel on the sword began to glow, causing Naruto to turn with his gaze narrowing as it started to spread its area of effect. Don't bother! He shouted as he moved forwards and wrapped his arms around the berserk Setsuna, shocking Soonga at such stupidity, as the girl was screaming from being held before biting down on his neck as hard she could, tearing his skin, yet he didn't let go. Setsuna, please just calm down. Hearing that, he could feel Soonga's anger as the aura was starting to leak to show a demonic dragon glaring down at him. You fool! She will tear you to pieces. I won't harm Setsuna, and I refuse to kill her. Why? I am not a murderer. His shout took Soonga by surprise as he watched him hold on to her, as she repeatedly bit into his neck to tear out the flesh and pieces that couldn't be considered flesh, yet he didn't let go. And I will not hurt her. I can't hurt her, because she's already hurting on the inside. It was after that shout, Soonga remained silent as the blade's glow cut off and aura receding. Raok! Setsuna screams as a couple of fingers shoot out her energy and stab through Naruto's body multiple times, yet he didn't let go, but instead, his grip got tighter. I'll give you one chance, was the only reply he got as Soonga's jewel began to glow, gaining his attention once again until he saw it. Setsuna's eye was glowing from the rainbow pearl. See this as his chance, he spoke. I won't lie and say I understand your pain when I don't, but I can tell you're hurting. You've been hurting ever since that day. You thought of them as your family and Ms. Shiori as your mother. As he spoke, her irises reappeared in her eyes, yet she was still struggling in his hold. Tawa is waiting for you, your sister, and so is Moroha, your friend. They will be there if you ever need someone to talk to, and so will I. So wake up already, Setsuna. He screamed into her ear as her eyes widened with the red color in her eyes disappearing, with they close as her wings vanish. Setsu. He stops to see she passed out in his arms, which he holds her before seeing Kilala dragging itself over to them while Naruto's wounds were repairing themselves. Kilala. The Nikomata nudged into him, and he pats the demon's head before looking at Soonga. Thank you, Soonga. Yet despite hearing that, the reply he got wasn't happy at all. Do not thank me, vessel. You risked your second chance just like that fool Toga for a mere woman. Naruto just frowns, but in the end he lifts her body and looks at Kilala. Will you be able to take us back or not? His question got a response by kneeling for him, which he nods and gets on, placing Setsuna in front of her. Let's hurry, was the single command he gave before Kilala took off in a hurry back to the others, but unknown to them, they were being watched. Standing behind a tree at the treeline was the powerful dog demon himself, Sesshomaru, who had a deep frown on his face. Such a look made his servant, Jaken, nervous, as he hadn't seen such an expression in a while. Lord Sesshomaru, is everything okay? Without answering, he grabbed the hilt of one of his swords. It was shaking. If Tenseiga is reacting like this, then he must wield Soonga. His eyes narrow as he recalled what he saw and what Soonga had done to his user, then his close relationship with Setsuna. Is everything okay, Lord Sesshomaru? Upon hearing his name being said again, he turns his back to him. We're leaving Jaken. He starts to fly, alerting Jaken as he jumps and grabs his fur fast. While this was happening, the frown didn't disappear. What is his relation to Naruto? So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.